this is one of those things where, again, it goes into the territory of we know it's coming at some point down the road.
Yeah, we've known for what, 4 years?
I mean,
At
they
this
literally
point.
let you know that Miles exists in Spider-Man Homecoming. Like,
Yeah.
that's, you know, so
If not Miles, that family exists.
exactly. So we can expect now that Miles will enter live action soon. And soon is relative when it comes to these damn comic book movies, right? Like it's,
Yeah.
you know, it is what it is. We've heard some rumors it could be happening. I said it in my video. I heard about this probably about 2 weeks ago, and one was I don't know if I can believe this. And then when two other people were like, "So there's things happening with Miles," yeah, I'm inclined to believe it is a thing now that is happening, and it's going to be something we see. Now nobody can pinpoint what exactly is happening with it. Is it MCU, Sony? Is it Sony?
So that's the interesting part, because you know, like you say, you heard it back a couple of weeks ago, and there's other people. You know, some of the names on Twitter, they're like, a couple of days ago, they're like, "Oh yeah, this is a thing," and then it's like, "Oh, this is a thing," and it's like, well, people are clearly starting to hear about this, so it's got to be something.
Now
You don't have this much smoke without this much fire going
and
on. So
that's what I want to say. I can't officially say anything until one person gets back to me, and I'll make a video on it then, or we'll talk about it maybe next week, depending on when they get back to me with it. But when I waited for people to come back to me with how things were going with that whole split between the two, and then I made a video, and everybody was like, "Oh, okay, that makes sense," and we see the fallout of that because it was correct. From what I understand, the secrecy behind Miles Morales is so secretive that some of the people involved with it might not even know they're involved with it. That's the level of secrecy they're going through because they don't want things to get out there. Like, this is another level of trying to bury the news or any leads. And I can understand why, because, like, we're hitting that point where Miles Morales is so popular that honestly...
yeah, it's huge. They'd be silly not to get him in sooner rather than later.
Exactly. Like, it's gonna happen. That's like my takeaway from this. Now, where it happens, is it Spider-Man 3 for a quick cameo?
This is the thing, because you said about, you know, it's so secret they don't even know if they're going to be going for it or not. I don't know if everyone knows this. The end credit scene with Sam Jackson in Infinity War was filmed in Captain Marvel.
Yeah.
So it's like, hey, this is the thing, they're doing this, and it's like, oh no, and actually that's for that. So they're not afraid to film different parts of movies in other productions just to hide something.
Yeah.
So yeah, you know, it could very well be Miles. I think it's a safe bet they are doing Miles, which just means we need Sam. Like, come on, give me Nova already. We need the Champions trio.
Yeah. I mean,
and with Miles coming if this quick, it's like, yeah, we're getting Champions at some point. We'll get both Young Avengers and Champions. Why would you ever split or combine those two together? You want more than one.
I mean, here's what kind of like it's kind of mind blowing, right? Within the next 5 years, we're gonna have Peter Parker running around the multiverse. We're gonna have two of the former live action Spider-Man back in some way, shape, or form. We're gonna have Venom. We're gonna have Silk. We're gonna have Miles. Like, dude, we're literally gonna be living.
You're gonna have a Spider-Verse.
Yeah, there's gonna be something Spider-Man to watch at least 2 to 3 times a year in live action for the rest of eternity. It seems like, and I'm like, you know what? Yeah, I'm okay with this because they're so different in how many there are and you know what they're trying to do. So,
So go back 5 years and you know.
yeah,
well, 6 years ago, you say, "Oh, this is going to happen in this amount of time." Like, yeah, nah, no way. This was never going to happen. But we're here. It's the timeline we're in now.
It's come so far. Honestly, it's kind of shocking. Like, that's how far we've come. You know. Now, when it comes to Miles, where do you think they would introduce him first?
This is the thing. Is it for Spider-Man 3? I don't think anyone can say.
Yeah.
Since we know that's filming right now. I think, for lack of a better word, they are in full swing of things. So,
boo!
It's a generic phrase. It's fine. If you put Miles in Spider-Man 3, it's like another plot point. So, and I'm purely going for the assumption he's not going to have spider powers at this point. It's just going to be Miles.
Yeah.
Maybe they do what TASM 2 did, where everyone thought it was going to be Miles, and you have something like that. But you have Aaron Davis there, so you get Donald Glover back, and you be like, "Hey, this is Miles. This is the kid you let down with the ice cream because you led my hand to that trunk, and you make a call back in the connection." Could they possibly be doing another Spider-Man franchise? So it's his own movie?
Man, that would
Could it be Multiverse of Madness?
Huh. I mean, that would be interesting, right? Let Sam Raimi introduce him and I mean, that could honestly work. Like, it could be there. And I think that's the thing with Miles is he's such a unique character with where he comes from and how he was first established that it would almost make sense if you were to multiverse him in, because that's kind of what they did anyway. Like,
I was gonna say he's a tricky character because the situation of what he came like. Yes, he just got randomly bitten by the spider that just happened to go in Aaron's backpack when he was stealing stuff from Oscorp. He got bit by it. He got spider powers, but he became Spider-Man because he died.
Yeah.
Because Parker died in the Ultimate Universe. And yes, you can do what Spider-Verse done and touch upon that. But I think that's such a big moment for that character, well, for both characters really, that I'd rather see it than anything. I wouldn't want to lose Tom Holland, but do that scene with Tom Holland and do it that way, please.
I mean,
that's the goal, that's the dream.
But how about this one? Maybe this is what they do. We do get...
They do it with Toby or Andrew.
I was going to say, you could do that, or, as I said when we talked about the Spider-Man 3 factor, what if Doctor Strange leaves, he goes into the multiverse, and he doesn't realize it at first, and he goes to check on Peter, and we get Miles as the Spider-Man, and then they show us his version of Peter, played by Tom Holland, died, and he took over. Like... You could comic book it hardcore
you
like
can
that.
Do that. You can very much do that. That and then even that is like, hey, this is exactly how it happened.
Yep.
He then, in the comics, the Secret Wars destroyed the Ultimates for some reason, and then he came over to 616. So you can, I suppose, literally play it by ear exactly that way.
Mm-hmm.
That would be the dream. That's how I'd like Miles to go, because then you're sticking so close to that, because everything he done from Ultimates to 616 made him who he is.
Exactly.
And it's like, yes, he is kind of multiversal. Do I love that Miles is multiversal? Not particularly. I think Spider-Man being a multiversal character is it's too much.
I think
I like my Spider-Man street level. I understand why. If you're going to have one, Peter Parker can be the multiversal one, Miles can be the street one.
Right, and there is also plenty of things you could do, like, maybe for all we know, the next phase of MCU that's entering into the multiverse, maybe the catch of it is, hey, we bring people in by going, you never know what's changed, so you gotta watch every single thing to see these subtle little changes. That would honestly bring everybody in, because people would be like, well, I gotta watch it now. And it's like, it's a good hook to have, being like, you see Spider-Man has changed, but you don't know what. And suddenly they're like, well, if you want to see why there's a female Spider-Man called Silk swinging around, check that out. It's like, okay, like, it's a good get, honestly. Like, it makes sense from a I want to sell
it's
this.
very gimmicky.
It is.
Very gimmicky.
It's the CW Crisis thing, but that's how they got everybody to start watching everything again, and their numbers went up.
It's true. It's very true. I don't know. At this point after Spider-Verse, Miles has been heavily established as the multiversal Spider-Man.
Mm-hmm.
I think if they're smart, they make it so. I'd say the Spider-Verse Miles is the Miles we get, is that we're casting right now. And we do it that way. But you run into the problem of, well, why does he become live action when in the cartoon, all the cartoons looked like they did from their universe, they didn't match his.
Yeah.
And that's a problem maybe is only specific to me, and that would really niggle the old head meat. But it's one way you can do it, and then you've basically connected your two franchises right there and then.
I have realized through the years of doing this podcast and having these conversations that the things we think are going to be a problem when they get to it and explain it.
They just do it and don't give a crap.
They just do it, don't give a crap. And then all the everyday audiences are shoveling popcorn into their mouth. They're like, cool. And they don't even question anything. I'm like, yes, we think about this too hard as nerds. I've realized that, you know? Like,
well, it's like I was talking to someone on Twitter last night, and they were like, oh, what was it? I think it was about... So Jimmy Kimmel said he's going to be Kraven, and people were going off about how they were going to get a Spider-Man thing on Jimmy Kimmel last night. So people were talking about Kraven, and like, make Kraven a universal hunter. And of course, everyone was like, so Morlun. Mm-hmm. You want Kraven to be Morlun. And then someone, but you can't do Morlun because people don't know him. It's like the audience doesn't know 95% of these characters. That's not an excuse. Yeah. They do not give a crap if they're popular or not.
Right.
So that's I've learned that very quick.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, I suppose people don't give a crap what I give a crap about. Cool.
Yep.
But yeah, it's I don't know. He's a very tricky character. Not a tricky character. He's a character that's got a lot of possibilities and a lot of possible ways you can bring him in.
Yeah.
How you can play him. But then it goes back to the whole, why would the X-Men not come from the multiverse? It's like, well, this not our X-Men.
Exactly.
It's not the universe we're following as X-Men, so why really give a crap about that character?
And plus,
that's my biggest thing.
And as you say, they've never made them X-Men, so how would you like?
I mean, there's that, yeah.
So, there is all that. But regardless, Miles seems to be on the way. Probably sooner rather than later. It sounds like. When there's more, we'll talk about it. If for some reason we end this podcast and 3 hours from now we get set photos of a Miles Morales lookalike on the set of Spider-Man in New York, emergency podcast coming.
Say 0.5 coming your way again. I'll say it's 4:38 p.m. on the 15th of October 2020. I am going to take another stab and say in 3 hours and 20 minutes there is going to be something coming out.
Willem Dafoe on an actual glider in New York.
I'm praying this week it's Moon Knight. I've been saying Moon Knight for the last month, and it's like it's got to happen at some point.
You waiting for that Keanu Reeves news, huh?
Oh God, don't! Huh? If they do that, I'm done. I'm done. Moon Knight be dead to me.
Well, I guess we'll see.